So today I'm talking to Anna Fishbeyn.
Yes.
And you're the filmmaker behind War of the Dads short film that's been nominated at Berlin. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you so much, Steve.
Thank you for joining us. Can you just first of all give us a brief synopsis about this film? This comedic film.
It's a comedic film,
Okay.
That's right. And so it's part of a larger series, which is called Happy Hour Feminism. And we basically created a bunch of episodes which stand on their own, like as short films. They can be seen as short films. They're part of a larger series. And in each one, women are on top. They literally sit on top of a bar.
I've seen it.
And men come in with problems. And we've had men coming in with problems where they're gaining too much weight, or they're balding, or they need wrinkle creams. And and women solve those problems for them.
Because it's like a switcheroo of men, I guess.
It's a response to modern culture and the fact that I would be watching TV and every commercial would be about how to solve problems for women. Like, here's a wrinkle cream for you, here's a diet pill for you. So I decided to just reverse this world, and I created this series with Adrian Roman, who's my director, and I'm the writer of the film.
He's a cool guy.
Yeah, he's a cool guy.
And very handsome. So if only he was here.
Exactly, he could fill us in on this.
Yeah.
Especially, I always like for men to be watching the reversal.
Yeah, it's quite.
Of
I've
the
seen
sexes.
it. I have seen it. It's funny.
Yes.
But where did the kernel come from? Because they obviously all stories have a beginning. I mean, the idea. So where did something you? I know you mentioned about seeing TV, but on adverts, but I'm guessing it's quite a bit more than that. I mean, is this a gestation for this?
Yes, there was a gestation. I thought a great deal about creating a reversed world for a long time. I wanted to create a futuristic world where it would just be accepted that women were in charge and women were in power. And I was trying to figure out how I was going to do this, because I saw a lot of arguments in the media between women about feminism and everything like that. And there were a lot of complaints about, women aren't getting objectified, and it's difficult for women to constantly try to look good all the time, and that men don't have the same issue. And I thought, I want to jump into this issue. I want to be part of this conversation, but I wanted to do it in a comedic way. And I thought, oh, how fun it would be to have men just experience this, and from our point of view, and not in a way where like I force them to wear women's clothing, where we completely reverse gender in that sort of intense way. I thought how fun it would be if women still got to wear their clothing and men got to wear their clothing, but men just had to deal with very similar issues to us. So I have one of the episodes is called the wolf period, where men suffer from their periods and they get irritable at the end of the month and they can't multitask.
I'm like that all the time. Honestly.
So, but I should speak a little bit about War of the Dads. So
yes, sorry, yeah.
War of the Dads is it's very special for me because I'm a mom. And it's a response to the cultural mommy wars, where moms debate whether it's better to stay at home or to go to work. So moms would have babies, and then they would have this struggle. And everybody, was talking about this in the blogosphere, and who's the better mom, and how do you handle this, and how do you balance this? And I thought, hey, how come dads aren't talking about this? How come I don't see a single dad worrying about environmentally safe diapers, or, which baby formula bottle to use, and whether it's the right kind of plastic? And women were talking about this all the time, and, saving the environment. And then there were the working moms who were saying, nobody respects us as moms because we work, and they assume that we don't spend enough time with the children. And I thought, well, let's see what happens if dads are doing this, and if dads are fighting it out.
Just because we're too busy thinking about our next Porsche or Audi, you see.
Exactly. Exactly.
How do you make something fun? I know I don't know how you can explain this, because when you sit down and put something together, whether it's All the Dads or something you've been working on, because I can't imagine how you can make something, or the process, because it must be devilishly difficult. You constantly writing different lines, see if they work. How does that whole process happen?
So,
is it possible to explain, I guess?
Yeah, well, I have to say, I wrote it like a storm. I wrote the 4 episodes. Adrian and I were sort of talking about what we should do, and we wanted to create a series, and just talking. And at first we were going to do kind of like a documentary style series, and then I just I just like went crazy and did silly things, and I remember writing and it being so ridiculous and coming up with ridiculous jobs for the men, and thinking to myself, like, one of the dads was at Harvard, but he majored in physics on the astral level of traveling through the universe, and it was like completely absurd.
Yeah.
And I thought, Adrian is going to hate it. He's going to, and people are going to say this is crazy and ridiculous. And actually, everybody, all the actors were pretty excited about it, and he liked it. And so the more people liked it, the more crazy I went, and the more wild some of my dialogue got. And then once we had the actors with this dialogue, with these lines, you had improvisations and you had really fun things happening that you couldn't have anticipated. But the original script really gave it the impetus. I don't even know how else to put it.
I can't imagine the process because although we all have comedic moments, sometimes we can be amusing with each other. For me to actually sit down and write something which I feel would be funny, I don't know how on earth you'd go about doing that, because I forget things. I mean, I might have told a funny line, but it's gone, Right. But actually sitting down and putting pen to paper, I mean, I haven't got a clue. I think I'd just sit there and freeze. So.
Well, what's interesting is that the actual concept, once I reversed the concept and once I put the dads into the positions of moms, it almost evolved naturally. In the War of the Dads, once I put the words that moms say to each other and then just heightened it a little bit and put it in the mouths of dads, the comedy was there already. Do you know what I mean? Because it was so not real, because it is so not real, because it really isn't happening in our society. And as much as dads are now staying at home, it's still not the norm, and it's still not seen as a normal conversation between dads. And so because you're kind of taking an idea that isn't happening in our culture and you're placing it out there, it becomes comedic.
Because I can't see how you'd be able to make this into a serious series, because it would be something like Westworld, or I don't quite know how it would work. So I mean, for me, it'd have to be comical, which sort of raises the question of, I've not seen anything like this before, which is a bit of a surprise, really, if you think about it.
Yeah.
Because it seems, obviously now, the best.
I'm so happy I got to do it first.
No, but I haven't seen. And of course, it's very zeitgeisty now because, let's be honest, it's very likely that Hillary's going to get in. So, so women on top. So there is a now moment where it could actually happen, of course.
Exactly. But, I find it fascinating because there wasn't anything like that before. I remember thinking, has anyone created anything exactly like this? And I saw a lot of comedic things that were making fun or complaining about the current state of affairs, whether it was a female comedian or a male comedian. But there wasn't anything actually that did this reversal and that created a futuristic world. And so that was, I think even if Hillary gets in, you still have, enough people that were supporting Trump that probably wouldn't take well to this kind of comedy.
I was going to say, have you had any kind of, particularly it would be for men, of course, but have you had any sort of kind of negative sort of reaction to it?
Yes, of course.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh no, I had negative reactions. I put up some trailers on YouTube, and I put up some trailers here and there, and we got like hate comments and things like that.
Probably from Republicans, I shouldn't say that. We can edit that part out.
I know, right?
Allegedly. Okay,
allegedly.
Okay.
And
was it hateful? Was it really quite vitriolic?
It was vitriolic. I mean, it was so nasty, and they used the C word, by the way. Oh yes.
But what couldn't they? It's
like they were so and also Adrian and I always talk about the fact, like, you have to understand that it's a joke. But sometimes people didn't get the fact that it's a joke. Like, we're making fun of stuff. We're having a good time. But if people didn't get that it was a joke, then they took it like I'm attacking them in some way. We have one episode which is called lipo-draining beer. And the guy he's fat and he drinks lipo-draining beer and he becomes really skinny overnight, but then he has side effects. Right. And he has like convulsions with like his body starts breaking down completely, And I took that from the fact that women are sold diet pills, and then the diet pills, and then they say, warning, this diet pill can cause you headaches, bleeding, cancer, and on and on and on. And I thought, my goodness, what we women do to like, and I was also looking at statistics of women who get, plastic surgery and breast implantations and the side effects from that. And I thought, oh, how fun it would be to have men try things like this to look handsome for us. So, I was going to tell you, one of my castings for this thing would be, I would call up men and I'd say, how do you look in a Speedo? And to women.
Oh no, well, how would I say that?
and for women, I cast women who I didn't care what age or what weight, however they looked was fine.
And did you have not an end game, because I suppose the end game was to get the series done, but is there a post to this that this has locked onto something else? Does that kind of make sense?
You mean, are there more series in the works? Or?
Possibly, or it could be, because I imagine this could go on forever.
Because I have lots of topics, right?
Yeah.
Like I have men at the fashion show, where they're being interviewed at the red carpet. What are you wearing? Things like that.
Okay. But is that ultimately what you do, or is this just you've done this and now you're promoting this, but actually you're moving on to something else?
I am working on other things. I have a feature film I'm working on, and I just finished another short. I just finished 2 other short films that I'll be hopefully.
And comedic as well.
One is comedic, yeah. One is called The Love Bathroom.
Right. Okay.
All about sex. No, I'm joking. Just joking. I'm just kidding. This is not.
Need to cut this.
This is not live.
Okay, that's not live. And
this is between me and Steve.
Yeah, it's between us. And are you overall happy with the end result of these 4 episodes? I know we're talking about War of the Dads.
I am, and we, War of the Dads has been an amazing ride for us because we just won for best. We just won at the Moondance Film Festival for Best Episode.
Yeah.
And we've won in another festival for another, so we keep winning with this specific episode. So we've been pretty excited about it. And we also, our Wolf Period had won at a bunch of film festivals as well. So we have sort of 2 episodes that have done really, really well. And much to my great surprise.
No, it should be very good.
So, I was very pleasantly surprised, very pleased. I never imagined we'd be going on this film circuit experience, and was so excited about this festival. So excited about coming to Berlin. And
thank you.
Yeah, and I love the fact that you guys see it as a complete and short film, and the fact that it stands on its own.
Well, sure. I mean, it seems like nothing to me, but it seems like a no-brainer, having seen it. Obviously, I understood it was part of the series.
Yeah.
But, you can also see it's a stand-alone, if you want it to be an entity, that's out there on its own.
Yeah.
And I should really ask you your background, where you come from and where you are now. What were you doing and how did you arrive at where we are?
Good Lord.
Have you always been in the film industry?
No, I wasn't. So my background really is in writing, and I was a writer, and I actually have a book that will be coming out.
Plug it.
Can I plug it? Because my publisher told me to plug it.
Plug it.
I have a book
that
I was writing before I started in the film industry, and it's a novel, and it's called The Matrimonial Flirtations of Emma Caulfield.
Right.
And it will be coming out in May of 2017.
So it is fairly close.
It's fairly close, and it'll be in bookstores in America, and I might travel with it, on a book tour. And
are you able to, or is it under wraps and you can't say anything?
Oh, why?
In terms of, can you give us an idea what it's about?
Yes, of course. It's about a woman who has to decide between 2 men. She falls in love with an American, but her family is forcing her to marry a Russian immigrant like herself. Right. So the idea of the book is, it's also comedic, and the idea of the book is that I poke fun at 2 different cultures and what a culture clash looks like when American is among the Russians, when the Russians are among the Americans. I'm Russian. That's my background. And basically the 2 men almost become to represent the 2 countries that she's from, and her own struggle with her identity.
So it's sort of based on you.
Yes, but it's not true.
Oh, okay.
It's autobiographical, but not true. No, I'm kidding. It's really not autobiographical, but it is. It's
There's
definitely.
I
definitely draw out the history I draw out the history of Russian immigration to America.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
And so, what about the leap from the writing? Because
from the writing to filmmaking.
Well, yeah, because
so
I can see the path.
then I became an actress.
Yeah.
Then I started writing. My first show in America was called Conversations with My Breasts.
Right.
And
okay, this is a bit of a
and
theme
it wasn't comedic at all.
Right. Okay.
And so I performed that at Cornelia Street Cafe, and that led to my play that I wrote and I starred in called Sex in Mommyville, and that actually gave me a life in theater in New York. And it was a comedic play about moms and their struggle to have sex or lack of sex after you become a mom.
And how did it go down?
It went down very well.
That might be the wrong phrase to sort of. I'm stumped.
Yes, well, so was everyone.
Okay.
But it was an amazing experience, because when I first opened, I was a child actress in Russia, and I hadn't performed ever in America. And my first performance was with the play. I mean, Conversations with My Breast was a sort of performance, but it was not. Sex in Mommyville, I opened at the Flea Theater, which is run by Sigourney Weaver.
Oh, right.
And I got like 12 reviews, and it just changed my life, you know.
What, 12 presumably positive reviews?
Yes, pretty good reviews. So it was an amazing. I mean, I had feature stories and I had reviews, and it was just from that moment on, that's what I wanted to do.
What's the joy in writing? I know this is a bit of a stupid question, because I can understand it, but can you explain that to people?
The joy in writing?
Yeah. That probably sounds like a bit of a lame question.
I can't live without it.
Right.
So it's not a question of the joy. It's a question of like existence. So I
like
write
breathing,
almost breathing, or like going to the bathroom. Even if I don't jot it down with my hand, but I usually do. I usually carry something around.
Mm-hmm.
If it's just the cell phone, I'll put it in notes. But I write a poem at least every day, and then if I'm working on a larger piece, I will be working on the larger piece throughout.
Okay.
And it will just be throughout the day. I'll jot something down, and if I get very involved, then I'll. But it's almost like I like to think of writing, and I like to think of language in the way that I think of sculpture. If I were sculpting, I would be hacking at some sort of face or some sort of feature and a hand, and I'd be working to make it perfect for a long, long time. And I feel that way about writing. You have a sense of how to make it work, and then you work towards that.
Okay.
And whether it's comedic or serious, or if it's a poem, you definitely know when it's not working.
So you kind of answered my next question, but I'm going to ask this anyway because it's a tricky question. And I said I wouldn't, but I'm going. So you've got a life choice, and the life choice is writing or filmmaking, but you can't do both. There's no option. And if you write, you have nothing to do with filmmaking. And if you're working in a film, you have nothing to do with the writing.
That's really hard.
Which one are you going to go for? And you have to make a choice.
That's really hard.
I know, I said I wasn't going to give you any tricky questions, but it just popped up. Sorry.
I probably would say writing, because I can't live without it. And with films are like you do a project and then you take a breath.
Yeah.
And then you do a project and then you take a breath. But at this present moment in my life, writing and filmmaking have become so intertwined.
You see, you can't. You have to have one or the other. That's the problem.
No, I know. But I'm just saying, if you didn't ask that question.
Right, yeah, I know.
They've become so deeply intertwined, so that when I write, I'm thinking about writing also for film now,
how it would look,
and how it would look,
yeah.
and I'm thinking about the visual medium, and I love the visual medium. And I realize also that in my own novel, lots of things that I wrote, lots of sections of the book are just visual, and it would be wonderful to see them on screen.
So I suspect when, I know you just touched upon this, but when you're writing now, as opposed to previously when you weren't involved in film, you have to envision that. Envision, is that the right word? You have to see it in your mind's eye, because I'm guessing a lot of the time you are writing with the knowledge that actually what you're doing is writing, hopefully getting this on screen. So has your process of writing, it must have changed, I guess, because you've got it,
enormously. Yeah, it changed enormously. It also changed enormously from working with Adrian.
The good-looking guy. The good-looking guy.
That guy.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Don't get his ego too high. No, but we were we were working on a show in London, actually, on My Stubborn Tongue, which he worked on with me, and we turned it into, he basically transformed it into a cabaret.
Right.
And he helped me to see that, you know, in the visual medium of theater and also in the visual medium of film,
Yeah.
that my writing has to change, and it has to become, it has to acknowledge the moments of silence, and you know, because when you're writing a novel, there are no moments of silence.
No.
If there's a moment of silence, you're saying it's a moment of silence, you know. But in you don't have to do it in theater and film. But coming from the perspective, and you know, I came from the perspective of the novelist, and I really had to retrain my mind to say, okay, let go of that moment, let that moment be, let the director fill that moment. You know, you don't have to fill everything with words and dialogue. You know, so that was an evolution for me. It's still an evolution for me. I'm constantly evolving in this process of, you know, trying to become a filmmaker who's, you know, who understands the visual versus the verbal.
A nice way to finish. Well done. Thank you very much. That's brilliant.
Thank you.